It's important to equip your machine properly before using it, otherwise you could potentially damage your floor. The first thing we're going to do is put fresh, clean water that is chemical-free into the scrubber. We'll be adding soap at a later time. The first thing we want to do is make sure that fresh, clean water is filled properly in your scrubber. So now that we have fresh, clean water in the auto scrubber tank, it's time to decide which pads we are going to use on the floor. One of the most important tasks we have is selecting which pads to use on the floor. We have two different pad choices to choose from in the SmartFloor maintenance system. The first are the blue daily maintenance pads, and the second are the orange restoration pads. We select which pad to use based on the current condition of our floor. Some floors are going to be in worse condition than others, more worn out or dull. That is going to require the orange restoration pads, and floors that have been recently installed or polished and are in good condition are just going to utilize the blue daily maintenance pads. If you're unsure of which pads to use, the safest decision is to run the blue pad. It's important to properly assemble the pads to the machine correctly, because if you do not, you could potentially harm the floor or the pads. We want the abrasive inserts, or pucks, to be facing the floor and the printed side to be facing the machine. One of the nice features about the SmartFloor maintenance system is that from the side view you can see the color indicator which identifies which pads are on the machine. Be sure to know how to attach your pads on your machine to ensure the SmartFloor pads are being used properly. We do recommend that you use the Ameripolish Rejuvenating Cleaner 1 pouch to 1 auto scrubber tank. The settings on the auto scrubber are also important to the success of the floor care program. We must ensure that the proper amount of water and head pressure is being applied so that the pads can work effectively and efficiently. The proper settings for both head pressure and water are the medium or light settings. Before the beginning of every shift, be sure to check that all scrubbers have enough battery to operate successfully and regularly. Before we get started, you should also know that the blue daily maintenance pads should last around 750,000 square feet per pad. This is about 10 to 14 days in a large store or 1 month in a small store. And the orange restoration pads will last about 400,000 square feet per pad, 4 to 7 days in a large store or 10 to 14 days in a small store. The standard operating procedure for the SmartFloor maintenance pads is important to ensure the success of the program. The first step is just to dry dust mop the floor and make sure all the large debris are out of the way. With the floor clean and dust mopped, the floor is ready to be scrubbed and maintained with the SmartFloor maintenance pads. The only thing we need to be mindful of on our way out of the back is not to pick up any debris. We'll keep the heads and the squeegee off the floor until we are on the sales floor itself. When getting ready to drop the heads and the squeegee, we want to make sure that the machine is in motion as we drop the head. All machines should be run at their normal walking speed with proper water flow and head pressure. For ride-on machines, just ride like normal. If you need the machine to stop, do not run the machine head stop in place. Stop the machine entirely and resume when you turn the machine back on. The auto scrubbers and the SmartFloor pads are designed to be used on the sales floor finished polished concrete. Auto scrubber machines and the SmartFloor pads should never be run in the garden center, sidewalk, or in the vestibule where there's rubber matting or stamped concrete present. If there are any metal transition strips or similar, avoid running the machine head over these transition strips. So now we'll talk a little bit about wear checking. It's easy to tell when a SmartFloor pad has worn. You will see the color indicators showing through the bottom of each pad. On the blue daily maintenance pad, you will see the blue color, and on the restoration pad, you will see the orange color. You should never run a SmartFloor maintenance pad after the wear indicators are showing. This can cause damage to your floor. If the color is showing through the bottom of the pad, it's time to change to a new one. We are going to show you how to properly clean and inspect the pads for the next shift. The first thing you do at the end of your shift is to discard any of the used water that's still in the tank and rinse the tank clean with fresh water in order to avoid dirt and debris building up in the tank that may clog it. The next step is we're going to go ahead and remove the pads off the machine heads, and we're going to thoroughly inspect and wash the pads. If we do not see any blue glue coming through or showing a wear indicator, we will go ahead and rinse these pads off and put them back up to dry. If the wear indicator color is showing, replace it with a new pad. Rinse the pads with fresh water, and what's going to happen is we know these pads are not going to get clean like they were when you first got them, but we want to make sure that we remove any buildup or dirt and debris that just hangs on in the pad over time. After they are rinsed, set the pads upright near the drain to dry after we are finished washing them. When the next person comes in for their shift, they'll be dry and ready to go back on the driver head and back on the machine. So as you can see, the cleanup and storage process is relatively easy, and as quick and easy as it is often overlooked and can cause problems for your floor if the pads are not taken care of.